Welcome! Today I would like to share with you my Dendrobium orchid. It's a Dendrobium aggregatum, sometimes called Dendrobium Lindleyi, but when I bought it as aggregatum. I've had it for many years, at least 15, and every year it produces a spike or two with these beautiful scrambled egg colored flowers. Let's have a closer look at them. Look how beautiful they are. The flowering spikes grow out of pseudobulbs, which are tipped with a thick and leathery leaf, and they are growing from pseudobulbs that grew the previous year. There are only 2 flowering spikes this year, but it doesn't mean that only 2 pseudobulbs grew last year. Not every pseudobulbs, unfortunately, produces a flower. The leaves on the pseudobulbs are staying for at least a couple of years, maybe even 3 years, and then they fall. And with time, the very old pseudobulbs dry out as well. When I bought this plant, it was mounted on a piece of cork, but I decided to plant it in a medium, in a pot, because it's too dry at my place for an orchid to be mounted without any substrate around its roots. The substrate here is tree bark, just commercially bought tree bark for orchids. And also I added to the mixture some broken clay pot pieces. The clay pot pieces the clay itself is very porous and trapped some humidity without being wet. So this is something that the roots really like, and the roots get attached to the clay quite strongly. And they get attached to the clay pot as well. So I didn't transplant this orchid at all. What happened a few years ago, the pot in which the plant grows fell, and the roots were so strongly attached to the clay, to the pot, that I didn't want to remove them. So I just put all the shells together as much as I could, and I put them all together with the substrate, with the orchid in it, into a pot that was slightly larger. And maybe you can see it, there are 2 pots here, one inside the other. And the plant seems to like it a lot, because the outer pot is providing some extra space for the humidity to be trapped, and the plant grows really nicely in these 2 pots combined. Part of the plant grew actually out of the pot and is attaching itself to the pots on the outside. Can you see it? There are roots here that are attached to the pot on the outside. So the medium, the substrate that is inside, is not really of such importance to this part of the plant. However, the part of the plant that is growing out of the substrate is producing the flowers. The part of the plant that is growing outside of the pot is not. So maybe the plant is happier with tree bark. I don't know. It is as it is. In my experience with this plant, the most important factor to make the plant produce flowers is to provide it with a dormancy period, with a rest period. And this period is quite long. It's between the end of October, beginning of November, until the first signs of growth appear, until the tips of the flowering spikes appear. And that is the sign that the watering needs to be resumed. I water the plant by soaking the entire pot in water. I usually add a very weak solution of 20-20-20 fertilizer to the water, and I leave the plant there for about half an hour. Then I remove the pot, I let it drip a little bit, and then I put the plant where it usually stays, which is on a windowsill. Once I start the watering, I water it about once a week. Sometimes it can be more often if it's really hot and dry. However, it is important to let the plant dry out completely between the waterings. If you are thinking of getting an orchid, I strongly recommend this one. It is relatively easy, and in my experience the most difficult part is to resist the watering during the dormancy period, because people have a natural tendency to take care of something that is under their care. This is something that this plant doesn't like. This is something that this plant doesn't need. So resisting the temptation of watering it is, to me at least, or maybe used to be, a very difficult part of keeping this plant. Okay? So this is about it. This is about everything I would like to share with you about my Dendrobium aggregatum. I hope you like it, because I like it a lot. Thank you very much for watching my video. Have a great afternoon.